Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Today, I'm Ara. We're going to present you Humaira Fasiuddin. As you know, she is the founder of the University Innovation Fellow. You must have heard so many times about UIF, both from us or from your own research. Humaira leads out Stanford University Hasso-Plattner Institute of Design. And then she's been experiencing 20 years of experience dealing with innovations. And now, without further ado, here is Humaira. Hi, Humaira.
Hello, Ara. Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to be with you all today.
The same.
I'm thrilled to be here to tell you about the University Innovation Fellows Program, and I would love to see many of you participate and join us as we in this effort. I'm happy to share my screen and give a little presentation.
Sure.
And I'd love to start with a video. Hang tight. Let me get confirmation that you're able to see my screen. All right. Are you able to see my screen? Terrific.
I can.
All right. Excellent. So here we go.
I began to want more out of my education.
I always think about what college is for me, and I always saw opportunity, but I didn't know how.
The UIF program is pairing youthful idealism with the ability to know how to get things done. Why wait until you've graduated, and why not start with the place around you? Higher education needs to change, needs to evolve.
We become change agents. Students are sometimes said that they're powerless, but that's not true. And I learned that from UIF.
Students know what's missing. They can partner with faculty and administration who are bound by different rules. So students cut right through all of that and create these learning opportunities without really knowing what they are allowed to do or aren't allowed to do. And they just make some great things happen in the short time that they're there.
They acquire tools to demonstrate the value of their proposed solutions before they even ask for resources.
I just walked away with a whole new perspective as to what it means to be an innovator on a college campus.
They're creating resources like new spaces.
My main project I focused on was trying to build a makerspace at Michigan Tech.
They're creating extracurricular offerings like clubs and hackathons.
A conference called STEM Girl Magic.
They're also creating courses that are part of the curriculum.
It's the first student-led, student-designed, student-developed course on campus.
By understanding the needs of stakeholders and developing these solutions, they're creating new assets and learning opportunities that appeal to both students and faculty.
It's taught me how to work on teams. It's taught me how to lead movements. It's taught me how to work with people.
You just think differently. I didn't realize I had the power to inspire anybody. I didn't think I was capable, of doing so much.
University Innovation Fellows is like this grid, electrifying our ecosystem. So when you connect us, we're able to be that much more powerful. No matter where you are in the US and now in the world, you have a family that you can rely on.
And not just any family, but a supportive one.
What you learn and the experiences that you have, the community that you make, is going to be something that is going to change your life, and you'll never regret it.
It's a lifelong fellowship. It doesn't end once you graduate.
If you think that things can be better, and they can always be better, if you want to be better, then join the UIF program.
Okay, great. So what are the University Innovation Fellows doing? In a sense, they are designing the future. And
yes, I am one of the many students who could not get into the topmost institutions of India.
We
Society, family,
many University Innovation Fellows. If you go to our YouTube channel, actually, you'll see many of our University Innovation Fellows and the talks about what they are doing on their different university campuses from all across the globe. And you were just listening to Priyanka in India talk about how she changed a campus in Bangladesh. So this, in essence, the University Innovation Fellows is designing the future. These students, you would be designing the future alongside us at your school. And as I showed you in this video,
to want more out of my education.
There's many opportunities for you. I'm from the University Innovation Fellows program. I live in Massachusetts, and I have worked for Stanford University in California since 2016 with this program. But we started this program in 2012, and we are located at Stanford at the Hasso-Plattner Institute of Design. It's a very special place at the intersection of all the different departments at Stanford University. It lies at the intersection of engineering, law, arts, computer science. And that's because we believe innovation happens when two or more disciplines are working with one another to see the intersection of those different disciplines. And so our community of fellows are students who have been empowered by their school to change higher education, to enhance higher education, to bring new learning opportunities to life alongside faculty and students. And so the focus of these new learning opportunities are using tools like innovation and entrepreneurship and design thinking and creativity to take what you're studying in school and apply it to the real world, to apply it to your universities, to apply it to your local communities. We have over 2,500 University Innovation Fellows at over 270 universities and colleges around the globe now. And we are in over 22 countries. As you can see, we have a few flags, a few pinwheels in the Far East area, but we have none in Indonesia. And we're excited to change that this year for the first year with you all. So what makes innovators? What distinguishes innovators? And here you'll see Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who are the founders, the co-founders of Google. And a lot of research has gone into what is it in the entrepreneurial mindset? What is the mindset of the entrepreneur that allows them to bring their ideas to life? And we have taken from those learnings, and we have distilled it into a few characteristics, but chief among them is creative confidence. To put you through a series of learning opportunities that gives you the creative confidence to be able to identify what is really needed in your ecosystem and to have the confidence and the skill set to bring it to life. And at the center of that is a very powerful skill set and tool set called design thinking. And it's often demonstrated by way of these 5 hexagons, but really design thinking is a much more deep and profound than this is a useful way to distill it to its essence. But really, design and design thinking is more like this. And we've all been through learning opportunities that are messy and confusing, very ambiguous. There's a lot of information that you're trying to sort through. And as that information begins to be sorted through by you and your team, you start to see patterns, you start to make connections, you start to distill some information and data, and out of that emerges an idea or set of ideas, set of solutions that are potentially actionable. And design has been around for many, many years, and lots of people communicate how to do design in lots of different ways. This is a Google search for design thinking, and you'll see so many different diagrams and lots of different techniques shared. But we want to boil it down for you and share with you in this call a few key characteristics of what design is able to influence. So you all are familiar with the design of products. We often hear of design as it relates to products, physical products, designing things in a digital AutoCAD program, or sketching things out, or creating a 3D model and bringing something physical to life. But design can actually also be used to design experiences. Many of you have been to events or concerts or performances where people who are holding those are designing an experience, and you're carefully thinking through the moment and the feelings you want participants to have. You can also design systems, and that might include how you design a local government, how you design the way a school might function, how you design a movement. And I would say that the University Innovation Fellows, students such as yourself, are designing systems at your school to aid in a better higher education experience. One of the techniques that we use to train University Innovation Fellows is the landscape canvas. And what this does is allow you to look at the kinds of learning opportunities that exist in your own environment. What are the speaking events, the workshops, the intro level courses, and things that get students even knowing about design and creativity and entrepreneurship. And then what are the things that once you know about it, get you working in a hands-on way with a specific problem? Perhaps it's an experiential workshop, or in a makerspace, or an experiential class. And then all the way to what are the resources in our environment. Sometimes the university has seed funds for entrepreneurship efforts, or sometimes alumni provide mentoring resources. So our students, when they go through training, take materials and tools like this and apply it to their own school to show, well, what does already exist? Oftentimes students are just simply unaware of all the things that do exist. But once they are aware, then it becomes clear, are students not finding their way to these resources? What kinds of things can we create to make sure that students travel through this pipeline much more efficiently? And that allows you to identify some real assets and unique opportunities you can bring to life that help your school reach more students with the kind of learning opportunities we know are absolutely important for their major to be brought to life in a way that helps society, helps your local community, helps your future employers. At Michigan Tech, these University Innovation Fellows identified a space at the basement of their student union that was a bowling alley, which was not utilized. And they worked with their school's president and the faculty and students to say, we want an innovation space and we will build it out together. And so students actually designed the space. They said, we want these kinds of whiteboards and tables and chairs. And while the stools that you see in the bottom row picture here were purchased, the tables themselves were actually physically constructed by the students. Some prototyping carts on the left hold materials for making prototypes. And the students actually really drove the creation of this space, which is now used by students and faculty alike. Our program has been written about in the book, Designing for Change. Social scientists have studied what is successful about this. And we're using design to put you through, put University Innovation Fellows through a training that has you understanding your own school and designing solutions that are contextually appropriate for your own school. And then in doing so, engaging others on your campus in those resources through workshops and speaking opportunities and various events, and transforming your school's environment. Another way to think about design is the technologies that you are studying around emerging technologies, blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning. These are technologies that should be benefiting your school, your local community, and your future employers. And so how do you use design to apply those technologies to real relevant problems that you are observing in the world around you? And so, a subset of that is data. There's such incredible access to data sources. How do you use algorithms and design from the data sets that are available to you to make an impact in the world around you? So all of these technologies that we're seeing, blockchain, machine learning, AI, virtual reality, how might you use them to improve the student experience on campus, but also the experience in your local community? And so, the world around us has changed substantially, but designing the future really involves imagining a different future. And in the world 1997, we had, I'm not going to show this video, but we had people still teaching one another what the internet was and what a profound difference the internet would make. That was not very long ago. 1997 was yesterday, if you will. And but back in 1997, the internet, as we know it today, was the future, and it was hard to imagine the implications of that future. How the internet could be used for many positive impacts, but also potentially some negative impacts. But designers are able to think ahead. They're able to design solutions that benefit the world, but they're also able to anticipate some of the problems and challenges that we could step into and design for that, design so that there aren't those negative implications. So Stuart Brand at the New Long Foundation, Long Now Foundation says, the present moment used to be the unimaginable future. So right this moment, 2021, used to be the unimaginable future. And with design, we are helping students imagine the future and be more intentional about their design so that they can so they can factor that in. So in the United States, there was a program for many of us as we were growing up called the Jetsons, and I'm not sure if you were able to watch reruns in Indonesia, but the main characters would speak to each other through a television. And I remember growing up looking at this and thinking, what an incredible, cool future that is. But of course, we're all doing that now. This is me and my co-director, Leticia Britos Cabanero. We're all using video conference now and speaking to one another through TV screens or computer screens. We used to look at this program and say, this is incredible. The mother is taking her young son to the doctor through a television screen. But telemedicine exists now. It was once the unimaginable future, but had it not been for telemedicine, how would we have been able to make it through the pandemic? And so this has taken on a new life in an incredible way. August 1972, this patent, a personal computer for children of all ages, many people railed against Xerox for having this vision. Why would anyone need a personal computer, let alone a child? And in fact, this is in Uruguay. They were far ahead in 2009 of most countries. They had a personal computer for each child. And had we not had that in this 2021, what might we have done to teach during the pandemic? This is another scene from a sci-fi book where people are talking and drinking in a car while it's driving. And of course, as you know, the self-driving car is already exists. This is the Stanford Self-Driving Car at the Stanford racetrack. And this is being piloted and prototyped in many parts of the United States, and it will be in our different countries in the not so distant future. So how do you imagine the unimaginable? Well, and how do you design for the implications of such technologies? Well, there are many techniques, but I'll take you through one really quickly, and that is, let's imagine the self-driving car. So self-driving car will mean fewer accidents, but fewer accidents can have a negative effect in that we will have less of a need for auto repair shops. And so those companies and people who work on auto repair might find themselves out of a job. On the other hand, you will see that lower accidents means lower fatalities, which is a wonderful thing. And as a result of lower fatalities, you might see a decrease in organs for potential organ transplants. So what might happen if organ transplants decrease? You might see an increase in the market for a black market for organs. And that could be a negative implication for self-driving cars that one should anticipate and potentially plan for. A decrease in accidents might mean a decrease in demand for insurance coverage. And also, self-driving cars might mean that fewer people want to purchase a second car, which is very common in places like the United States. Also, you might see an increase in speed. You might see more people have traffic speed limits, right? An increase in speed limits. So people might say driving in a self-driving car is actually better instead of flying. And so you might see people going great distances, at least in the United States, where we have large expanses of terrain. I know in Indonesia, it's might be a little bit different, but perhaps you might see people driving more than flying. And if that happens, then airline stock could go down. So other implications, all these cars driving around with video and data collection means you're going to have tremendous amounts of data in real time with these mobile data collectors. And then on the other hand, what does what are the implications for privacy for that data being collected? How is that data going to be used, and how might we protect ourselves from that? In the US, as there's lots of self-driving cars, you might have people not feeling the need to stay awake, have traffic stops and have coffee, or and as a result, you might have a decrease in demand for caffeine and energy drinks. And then on the other hand, if you have a decrease in the enforcement of traffic rules because cars will have limits in how fast they drive to begin with, then you might see a decrease in tax revenue, which is something that, at least in the U.S., when tax revenue coming back to police and fire and supporting local towns really matters. So that's something to think through as self-driving cars come to life. There are many ripple effects of that in the environment and in the world around us. How might we predict, imagine, and design for the positive and negative things that come out of such a technology like this? So design thinking helps us think through all these different aspects from products and experiences to systems, technologies, using data, and what are the implications of those technologies. And a really important way to think about it is that we are helping people designing through ambiguity, right? Where there's not one solution. There's multiple possibilities and multiple pathways to a solution. And the great power is for us to think through what all those solutions are rather than quickly honing in on one solution, because that solution may not be the best one for society. So having an informed view helps you think of many possible solutions and prototype what any number of those might be before deciding that that one of them is the way to go. So ambiguity is something that is an awkward word, right? We usually resist ambiguity. We like things to be clear, but ambiguity is a fact of life around us, right? There's always uncertainty. So we can have different attitudes towards ambiguity. We can endure it and say, I don't like it, but I'm just going to get through it. We can engage in it. And we can, and it's something that you just go through, or we can embrace it. And we could see ambiguity as ever present, always around us, and take it with a more positive attitude that we can always work to make sense of ambiguity and make a clear path emerge with the information and the skill sets that we hone. So we want all students to be able to design design an imaginable future. We think that all students should possess an entrepreneurial mindset, and we would like to, through University Innovation Fellows, help you get a sense for these skill sets and tool sets to bring it to other students on your campus, because universities are large and they are used to doing things in a very certain way, and there are many leaders on campus that would like to see these kinds of skill sets and mindsets instilled in our students and our leaders of the future, but they don't necessarily know how, and it's hard to change university ecosystems. And we believe students are best positioned to do that by reaching other students and by working with school leaders. And that's why we have this program, because we see great potential in working with you to help you make sense of what exists at your school and bring that to life. I'll give you a sense of let me do a chime check. Okay, we're almost done here. So what is involved? So right about now, you should be working with your school to say, I would like to be nominated, right? tell your faculty champion that you would like to be nominated, and each of 16 schools in Indonesia are going to nominate 4 students who are, some of those students are from that school, and some of those students are not from that school. And that's okay, because Bangkit 2.0 is made up of students from all over Indonesia. But you could team up with a university and become part of a team of 4 at that school. And a lot of the remote teaching and learning that we are doing now, and a lot of the teaching and learning that we're doing outside of the university walls, in the field, in our local communities, makes it possible for you to collaborate with students who may or may not be at your own school. So you can be a part of that team of 4. Once you put in your application with the university's support, then we would review it and we would invite you to a video conference interview, and then we would accept you in the June or July timeframe, where we give your team a little bit of pre-work to get you acquainted with one another, as well as with the mission of the University Innovation Fellows program. And then in September 2021, we have a 6-week online training where your team is exposed to some of our thinking tools, design thinking, the landscape canvas that I showed you earlier, Lean Startup, and you apply it to your university setting, and you come out of that training with a clearer sense of what kinds of things you could do on your campus to really make a difference. And once that is the case, and we review and make sure that things are all set, then in October of 2021, you would be launched as a University Innovation Fellow. We would issue a press release from Stanford to your school, and you would get some recognition for the work that you had already done and the work that you were about to do, this project that you're bringing to life. And you would then, go ahead and start making an impact on campus, reaching other students and other educators. And when we don't have a pandemic, we invite those same University Innovation Fellows to come to Silicon Valley and come to spend 3 days with us in the Valley with hundreds of other students around the globe to participate in a transformational learning experience where you go deeper on your training as change agents and learn more about design thinking. We bring you to Google headquarters for a day and take you all around Stanford and teach you how to design spaces, how to hold conferences. You meet other students who have done other projects around the globe, and you come away with collaborators and lifelong friends. And the types of impacts that students have made vary across the board. From on the right here, Celine in Canada held an entrepreneurship series of events and a startup weekend, to students at Gpa Technology who held a Mindcraft event for creative thinking and team building here in India, and everything in between. So what you do in your campus is going to be very unique. This is Tanner Whedon. He went back to Utah Valley. He really wanted to develop an innovation space, and the university said, sorry, we don't have any spaces available for you to use. So he said, actually, why do I even need any space? I'm going to purchase a cart and fill it with prototyping supplies. And he's got permission from his faculty member to teach a design thinking workshop in his class. 1,500 students were exposed to this design thinking workshop, and it was mind-blowing to the educator and to the students. And then Tanner was invited all over campus to hold workshops for other educators. During the pandemic, we've had large events like UIF versus Corona, an accelerator to tackle some of the challenges that we faced in the pandemic. Students go on to hold events for one another. Fellows across the globe. University of Twente in the Netherlands held a 24-hour meetup for all of us. Innovation, and That's the end of my talk. Here's my email. You can reach out to me, humera@dschool.stanford.edu. You can find our application at universityinnovationfellows.org. But the most important thing is that you want to first connect with a faculty member who is nominating the students so that you can become part of the official university application to become a University Innovation Fellow. So I'm going to stop there and stop sharing my screen and see what questions I can answer for you so that we can help get you onboarded into this program.
Thank you, Humera, for explaining us thoroughly to walk us through the philosophy of UIF itself. And then from the design thinking and then to trigger students going into the horizon of imagine the unimaginable, something that students maybe didn't think before. Maybe they came here into thinking, oh, I will get to know what the UIF will be. And then they were triggered to say, oh, what can I do with my surrounding at school? You mentioned something about the bowling alley.
Yes.
It's happening.
It's happening. Yes. The University Innovation Fellows, it's funny. At Michigan Tech, the educators were really struggling to get other faculty excited, and they were struggling to get students interested in this kind of learning. And the University Innovation Fellows program, because we worked with the students themselves to understand why this was important, the students became excited about the project, and they began imagining and driving the initiative. And so educators were really relieved to finally have student partners who they could do this with, because without that momentum, things weren't building on campus. So there's a great role that students can play. So the bowling alley, the one condition the president said to the students was, you have to preserve those beautiful bowling alley lanes. You cannot disrupt that. And so that was a design constraint, but that was a beautiful one. The floors are gorgeous. So I've been to that space, and it's a beautiful space. And as a result, now students have a place to come hang out, and the artists and the engineers and the humanities students, the English majors, they all come together in that space and share ideas and work on projects that make sense to one another. And so it's a very unique place.
So University Innovation Fellows is an avenue for students in Bangkit to apply and be an innovator that driving the change in their own university, right, Humera? And then
that's exactly
if I
right.
can quote one sentence from the video you just played, one of your fellows said that being a UIF is an experience you will never regret.
A lot of students do entrepreneurship to start a company and be their own boss and make a lot of money, and that's good. And that's important. That's fine. But for students to want to do this, to change their school so that hundreds and thousands of other students are improving their education and they're making the most of their major and mindset, that they're doing that because they care about their other peers on campus. And it's a very empowering feeling.
Yeah, when it's student driven, guarantee that the fellows, other fellows in campuses will be much more triggered to take part.
That's right. How many times has an educator said, you really should do this, and students are like, well, you tell me I should do a lot of things. But when a student says, you should do this, come play with me, that's so much more special. It's a magnet, and it's a very positive community because students are helping one another learn. Right? Instead of just their own learning, they're helping one another learn.
Humera, I've got a lot of things to ask, but I have to shut off my mouth and see Slido because we've got some questions already. And we can start from the one on top. Is there any minimal GPA if we want to join this program? And shall we take a TOEFL or IELTS test before?
Wonderful question. There are no minimum GPA requirements to join this program. And why is that? Let's think about it. I mean, if you're a straight A student and all you care about is grades, then you're at home, you're reading your book, your textbook, and you're not even looking up from your book. Students who participate in this program, they actually are a little bit discontent with the education ecosystem. And they want to really change the way we teach to be more relevant and more engaged, more active. So no, there are no minimum GPA requirements. Some of our best students have lower grades and actually improve their grades as a result of this kind of teaching and learning. In terms of the TOEFL test or the IELTS test, we would like students who can understand English. They should be able, our training is in English. What you will be reading is in English. And when we assign you a mentor from a different University Innovation Fellows campus from around the globe, they will speak English. So we want English speakers, but we don't make you take a test. We have an honor system in that respect. In the application, we ask you to tell us whether you are an English speaker and verify that that is the case. Now, if your team speaks a different language when you're together, that's fine. But we need you to understand English because the training is in English, and that's how we communicate as well.
Yeah, I see. Because ultimately you will all share your ideas and then understand that also the training materials in English, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. All right. And then next we have from Timotheus Haniel or Android students. Is there any post session after we finish the program? Like mentoring or funding or else?
So after you finish the training program, you will be supported by your school and the faculty champion who will advise you and mentor you. And we will also, you will have a UI guide, someone, a fellow from a different campus who is meeting with you maybe every 2 weeks to check in and advise you. There's Zooms that you can join with us or Google Hangouts that you can join with us and share with one another across the globe. And if students come to the Silicon Valley meetup, then that is also a follow-on session. There isn't funding from us, but oftentimes universities, when they review your project, find funding to help you bring that project to life, like the bowling alley. The students had some funding accessible to them from Michigan Tech in order to bring that to life. So that kind of funding.
I see. So funding for the project itself, yeah, Humaira?
Is something that the students will have to ask for and champion and request from the school, or go finding, talking with lots of different people on campus or alumni to try to raise that funding. So students have to be entrepreneurial in how they do that. But funding doesn't come from us, but we teach the students to be entrepreneurial to go find the funding.
Yes. It's teaching how to do so.
That's right. Exactly.
That's most important. And then next from Umar Sani, one of the UIF programs our students should make impact on their campuses. What kind of programs or activities that the fellow need to do at their campuses? So maybe next example, aside of the bowling valley, probably, Humaira, you may give other examples.
Okay, I can give other examples. So first of all, that is the University Innovation Fellows Program. It is the only kind of impact that we want you to make is impact for your schools. Is an impact in the way in which students are learning. So other examples of impact on campus, students have brought speaking opportunities. So on some campuses where there isn't a lot of innovation and entrepreneurship and creativity, students have organized TEDx conferences at their event. They've invited back alumni to speak about how those alumni have been entrepreneurial. Students have held startup weekends on their campuses, which are weekend-long programs to form teams and work on a specific, it's like a hackathon, but and students have also brought hackathons to life on their campus. Some students have worked with their educators to say, these 10 classes already exist on your campus. If we design this 1 or 2 additional classes, we can offer a design minor. And so students can major in business and minor in design. And so let's create a new curricular offering. So some students have worked with their educators to actually design. And then still in other instances, I'll give you 2 examples where on one college campus, students identified that there was a lot of food insecurity. Students were paying for their own education, but they didn't have money to pay for food. So the students worked to create a store where other students could get food. And so, and in another campus, in the United States, we have a growing problem. Hopefully it's not growing as quickly as it was before the pandemic, with e-cigarettes. And one school has a prohibition on e-cigarettes. But what they recognized was that first-year students were coming in already addicted. So because it was illegal to smoke e-cigarettes, they couldn't even find any resources to quit, any support resources. And so that student group identified they created materials and a workshop and got a counselor to help those students quit e-cigarettes. So sometimes the project that the students take on is related to classes and workshops and speaking opportunities where they learn. Other times it's related to basic needs. If a student cannot eat, if they are addicted, if they cannot even get to class for some reason that needs to be addressed, then students can work together to design solutions that make a student's life better, easier, more capable. And so the reason why we don't tell you what the project should be is because only you know, students, only Indonesian students know the kinds of things that are really preventing you from engaging in education effectively. And that's why we want to teach you the tools so that you can design those solutions and bring that to life.
So just to summarize on Humaira's points, very good. So the kind of programs or activities, innovations that fellows do in their campuses are various, and it can be physical or infrastructure related. It can be connected to student welfare, as Humaira pointed out about the problems of e-cigarette or meals, for example, for students, or it can be innovation in terms of curriculum design or classrooms designs. It can be workshop sessions. It really depending on the context, and then the needs of each university where you come from. So it's very interesting, Humaira. I can see some eyebrows are raising from far.
That's great. That's great. I see. We have more questions that we're going to answer, but I'm going to mention to you, Ara, that that I have a University Innovation Fellow. Japan just had brought on its first campus this last year, and we have a University Innovation Fellow there who might be joining us. It might be too late, but I sent him the link, and he might be joining us, which would allow students to ask him, what have you done in that environment? So just in case you see someone coming over, you know who that is.
Is he or she is confirming though that he's gonna be here?
Yeah. I just sent them the link, but if I just checked my email and they said, oh, I can, yeah. So if they can make it in time, that's great. If they can't, it's fine.
Okay, but while waiting for them, while not taking other questions, Mera,
right. Yes.
From Geraldi, our cloud students asking, is there any chance to get some courses provided by the school Stanford when we join UIF?
So the UIF program is not connected to any courses at Stanford. So I would say the answer to this is no. The UIF program does not mean that you would get access to courses at Stanford. But one thing I will say is that once students become University Innovation Fellows, they just find out about a lot of other things and a lot of other resources, and they become aware of many ways to learn. And so what you do with the opportunity is up to you. How you seek out and find and learn about different things that do become available is up to you.
Right. Thank you, Mera.
You're welcome.
Next, we can take from Fatma, our Android student. The duration of training is 6 weeks. Can we know how the training looks like and the schedule?
Yes, excellent question. So how do you train 300 students who are all over the globe together at once with different time zones and different needs? And the answer to that is very creatively. And the way we've been able to do that is we have one learning platform where each week is a different session. So 6 weeks, 6 sessions. And we open it all up to you at the very beginning of training, so that together as a team, you do session 1. So you read the assignment and the thinking materials and tools, and then you go do the activity on your own campus. In 1 week, you might be interviewing students. In another week, you might be interviewing faculty and staff leaders on campus about their needs. In another week, you might be documenting and researching all the assets that exist on your campus. And so each week you have different assignments, and you would be doing the work. And with your mentor, you would be meeting in video conference. We assign you a mentor who is in your own time zone, or who has agreed to adjust their schedule to meet with you on your time zone. And so you work with them independently to identify the time that works best for you. So that's the great power of this, is that you meet by way of video conference with the people who are closely connected to you, your own team, your faculty advisor, your mentor. And when you can, you join us in a large group globally.
Right. So the training is a combination between lessons, if we can say so, from your end, and then the follow-up actions in terms of interview or research at the students' respective campus. Yeah.
That's correct.
Right. And I think we have our fellow here.
Yes, I do. I see that Tomo is here.
Hi, Mera.
Welcome. Meet Ara. Ara Tomo.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Do you want to introduce yourself and share your experience?
Sure, absolutely.
As a fellow.
Yeah, absolutely. So My name is Tomo. I'm in Japan right now, so it's almost 10 o'clock at night. And I'm part of the first batch from Sophia University in Tokyo. So it has been a wild ride because we had to, being the first university in Japan has been kind of an interesting journey. And I think one thing I just want to share is maybe I think I've met so many, even though it's online, I've met so many amazing people and I've made a lot of friends. And I think that's kind of was very unexpected, even like in the pandemic, you never know what can happen, but that was like amazing. And I think, yeah, I mean, are there any specific questions that I can maybe answer or something?
Well, Tomo, let's start by maybe in a quick nutshell, what are some of the things that you identified are ripe for improvement at Sophia University where you study that you began to tackle in using different strategies? And you're still learning, right? You're still figuring it out.
Absolutely.
But maybe you could just give people a sense of like how you uncovered some of those challenges and what you're doing about it and where the opportunity and the learning is taking you when you're on campus and not on campus.
Yeah, sure. So I think, first of all, we really kind of started out by interviewing a lot of faculty members. And I think we realized kind of too late to start talking to more students. So I think one of the key things I learned is kind of to have the right balance and really understand the whole ecosystem. And after a while, we realized actually that like Sophia University is yes, we have a lot of different faculties, but we're not renowned for like innovation entrepreneurship. So we are literally at a point zero. You have to imagine it that way. And we had to like realize that we are actually at a point zero and we need to like rebuild or like build everything from start. And I think what helped us a lot was at the end, not talking to the faculty members, but talking to the students, realized, okay, actually, it's more about the mindset. It's more about we don't need to start by creating a lot of, let's say, for example, startup labs or specific courses. We realized that we actually needed to start really slow by creating, for example, design thinking workshops or just kind of ideathons and just opportunities for people to kind of get together and share that they are actually really passionate about social impact or entrepreneurship. And I think that was kind of a thing that we realized throughout the process that, actually, Sophia is missing that. We need to first create a space where people can share that, and then we can kind of start building the next phase. And I think for me, I've focused mainly my priorities on trying to create design. I've worked with some professors and worked on providing design thinking workshops online. And I think in the beginning, the hard part was getting people convinced that you're actually trying to do something good for people, because it's, they don't know you. You're coming from, you're bringing in innovation, entrepreneurship. And if it's like something that they don't feel familiar with, it's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. So I think for me, it was that process of kind of having that conversation with people to get their buy-in. That was probably the number one takeaway that I also got, because it was about like just learning how to get people's trust. And I think trust is one of the really hard things to come by, especially in COVID times.
So through interaction and discussions, you built that trust among your faculty members, Tomo?
Yeah, I think so. I think one more thing is maybe I have one personal story that I always like to share. And why I love this fellowship so much is I was delivering a design thinking workshop to this professor for about 50 students. And I needed, for a virtual workshop, you need a bunch of coaches, you need a team, you need people who can help you. And I didn't really have anyone. So I had like 3-4 people. I had my fellowship team, but maybe one more friend, but I didn't have anyone a month before the workshop. And then I texted the WhatsApp group that we have. And within an hour, I had 15 people who said, okay, let's do this. Like, I'm there. You can count on me. And that was just a sense of like, it was so overwhelming. And there was suddenly so much support, which was just amazing. It's like, and at the end, the workshop was, it was 10 coaches from about 8 nations. And I think that was really the amazing thing, that diversity that came together, and also showed students at Sophia University that, oh, like, diversity is really important. And, Japan is still, relatively homogenous. So it's like, it was very good to kind of show that kind of experience to the students. But that enthusiasm that people have is just, it's infectious in the greatest way ever. So maybe that's something that I really enjoyed from the program. I still enjoy.
Right.
Thank you, Tomo.
Thank you, Tomo.
It is hard to communicate this, but what Tomo is exemplifying is there's a certain level of support that fellows have for one another across the globe. Like, he talked about connecting with people, and that's because the culture that we try to create is one that is very supportive and caring for one another. And once you join that community, you have a family around the globe, really. Like, there's because finding other people who care about others and want to make a difference in society is kind of a rare thing. So that's a very important thing. And the other piece of this is, a lot of campuses are starting from scratch. A lot of campuses don't have this to begin with, and that's okay. We help students realize, okay, your first event might only have 5 people. Those are the right 5 people. 5 people is how you start a movement. So it's, let those 5 people come. Next time it'll be 10, and then 15, and then 50. And in, several months later, you'll be able to look back and say, this is how we got started, and we are poised to build from here. So everyone needs starters, and we teach you how to be those starters.
Right. Humera and Tomo, I think I have one last questions from the Slido that maybe both of you can answer, and I believe many of our students want to know the answer. What are the criteria needed to be a UIF? So you may start, Humera.
Okay, great. So what I like to say to faculty who are looking for the right students is that you want a student who is excited about looking for something to improve the environment around them. So someone who's genuinely interested in making a better environment. That's number 1. Number 2, making a better environment, not just for their own personal gain, but for others, for other students on campus, for society, for wanting a better Indonesia, for making, for having one day joining a company and helping that company do good in the world. So really a mindset of caring and wanting to improve the planet for others is a second criteria for us. And I think the third most important thing is sort of a belief in education. That you fundamentally, it's not necessarily belief in higher education, although this is a program focused on higher education, but a belief that education will uplift society, that helping others learn and helping others acquire this creative confidence can improve small communities. It can improve society when people are working together to, help one another.
Right. Thank you very much, Humera. That's very resourceful information. What about Tomo, from your own experience? You've been a year, right?
Yeah,
UIF?
it's only been a year, so it's it hasn't been that long, but feels
It's
like a long
already
time now.
it's already long.
Yeah, I think obviously the points that Humera mentioned, but besides that, I think one quality that I've always seen in people is that that they really want to work with others. I think that's what I always seen in them. So it's always that that they're willing to learn together, that they think collaborative learning is better. And I think it's that kind of attitude and mindset that people bring that allows you to really collaborate together, even though there's so many different cultures. So wanting to work in a team and learn from each other, having that kind of open mindset, not thinking that I'm the smartest person or I'm the hardest working person. It's not about that. Everyone brings different strengths to the team,
Right.
and valuing that is really important. And I think that's something that I think is really important as well in fellows.
Right, right. So students, if I can summarize what Tomo and Humera said, first excited to look for something to improve and make a better environment, not just for you, but also for your surrounding. Second is mindset of caring and sharing. The third is the belief in education, that it's important for society to improve. And the fourth one from Tomo is really want to work together for a collaborative learning efforts. So these four attitudes will help you to flourish as a UIF. And I think this also be the component, that Humera might want to interview you later in June.
That's right. That is right.
So thank you very much, Humera and Tomo, for taking your time today.
Of course.
It's very precious for us. And we hope to send you good news by end of this month.
Great. Thank you, Ara and Tomo for joining us. And thank you, students in Indonesia who are here with us and thinking about this program. This is right for you. And we're excited to have you and meet you. So please consider joining.
Yes, please. Still 6 more days to apply and submit a video, yeah?
That's right. It's easy. Don't overthink it. Just, you won't know until you try. So just go ahead and try. Because your nation needs you, and we would like you to join us.
Yeah. So this year is going to be the first time for Indonesia to send fellows, right?
That's exactly right. And we want a strong start. And so you will be, if you are on a team of 4 with one of those 16 schools, one of those 16 campuses, you will be one of a small community who will do this together. And that will be very special as the first cohort of Indonesian campuses. That will be a very interesting opportunity for you to network with one another all over Indonesia. So I'm excited to meet that first cohort and introduce you all to one another. And this next year is going to be quite fun.
Hopefully. So thank you very much, Humera and Tomo. I'll see you later.
Sounds
See you
great.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.